Hey everyone, it's Misty. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. So today's video is going to be a little bit different. So if you're subscribed to me for the fragrance and beauty content, this video may not be for you, but feel free to watch if you want. I'm going to be doing an updated multiple myeloma video. And I know a lot of people are subscribed to me because I did an original video, I think it's been like 5 years ago. I'm going to link the entire playlist of my multiple myeloma series down below. So if you want to watch the original videos, you can. And in this video, I'm not going over, I'm really not going to go over into great detail with my treatment. I mean, I'll go into a little bit, and then the stem cell transplant. None of that's changed, so you can watch those videos if you want to know some more information, but this video is going to be an updated video. I'm going to let you guys know how I'm doing and what's been going on for the last 5 years. I mean, I'm a survivor. I'm thankful to God, and from the beginning, the one thing that I really wanted to come out of talking about my diagnosis is I wanted God to use me to spread information about the disease, because at that point it was definitely a lot less known than it is now. At that point I think I was almost 40 when I was diagnosed, and it was very rare to be diagnosed at 40. Most people are older men. Well, that's what it used to be, but it's not like that anymore. Unfortunately, myeloma is a disease that many young people are getting, and we could go off into a whole nother video as to what's going on, why are so many people being diagnosed with this. But in this video, I'm just going to update you on my story. I'm going to quickly kind of go through and just give you an update about everything going on with me. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, then just keep watching. All right, so I am gonna link my videos down below, but I am going to give you a quick overview of my diagnosis up until now and what's been going on with me as of the last year. So I was diagnosed in May of 2017. And about 6 months before that, I had gotten into the best shape of my life. I spent all of 2016 working out, eating good, just really getting in the best shape of my life because I was getting close to 40 and I wanted to feel good. I wanted just to go into my 40s just at the top, just feeling great, looking great. And January of 2017 and February, it was between January and February, something clicked in me to where I started feeling so much pain in my body, my joints. I started having trouble opening jars. When I would sit down for an amount of time, like watching TV or just resting, when I would get up, I could barely walk. And by the end of February to March, I was in so much pain that my entire body was hurting. So I spoke with a friend of a friend who was a physical therapist because I thought I had a workout injury. And then after looking at me, he said, no, you don't have a workout injury because your whole entire, your body is mirroring the pain. If it was a workout injury, you'd have my right elbow is hurting, or my, left arm is hurting, or whatever. It wasn't like that. It was just all over. So he said, there is something systematically going on with you. You need to get to a doctor. So I got to a general doctor who ran a bunch of tests. And the first test was a SED rate test, which measures the inflammation in your body. Now, they told me a typical inflammation marker for a woman that was normal was between 20, maybe 15 to 20, 20 to 30, something like that. My inflammation marker was 115. So clearly, he knew I was telling the truth. I was in a lot of pain. My body was completely inflamed. So then, of course, he sees that there are proteins in my body and my urine, and he's wanting to go that route and kind of investigate what those proteins are. So once I got that news about my SED rate and the proteins, I immediately looked up online what causes a high SED rate. The very first thing that I came up on Google said something about multiple myeloma causing high SED rate. That was the first thing I saw. And I freaked out. And I called my mom, and she's like, it's the typical, get off the internet, like multiple myeloma, like what, why, you're so far from that. Like it's, how do you go from just being inflamed to like now you see multiple myeloma? Now I know that the Lord was definitely preparing me for that diagnosis, because that just left an impression on me. And the weird thing is that I couldn't shake the feeling from that very first time that I saw those words on that page. I couldn't shake the feeling that this is definitely something that I have, And so, but, everybody tells you need to be more optimistic. That's just doom and gloom. Like, stop looking on the internet. So I did. But the doctor also called me one afternoon and gave me some results. And this was probably around mid-March. I think mid-March. And he tells me, so the weird thing is you have this protein going on in your body. And I said, well, what does that mean? He said, well, honestly, it's indicative of someone who has multiple myeloma. But you don't have multiple myeloma, there's no way. He said, your liver and kidney labs are good, and you have low calcium, and you have none of the markers for myeloma. Also, you're under 40 years old. There's no way you have myeloma. But again, once he said those words, it was just another like wave of this, oh my gosh, myeloma, why is this keep reoccurring to me? So he sent me to the rheumatoid arthritis doctor, the rheumatologist, because he truly believed that at that point I had rheumatoid arthritis. So then they did more tests, and finally, after all these tests from him, he said, I'm going to have to send your blood work to a hematologist because I can't really understand what's going on. You need somebody who is definitely like more experienced in reading all this blood work. That is where I found my current doctor that treats me for my myeloma. Not my Mayo doctor. This is just a basic oncologist. She's an oncologist and hematologist. And I got into her, and I think I had literally like 4 appointments with her. In the first appointment, she says, oh, you're fine. I'm looking over your blood work. I'm pretty sure you're fine. We're gonna do some tests. Next appointment, she says, I'm a little concerned. There's some markers that are showing up. We're gonna do another test. Next appointment, she says, oh, you're fine. You're totally fine. Everything looks good, but there's one final test we're gonna do. And then that last appointment, she tells me the only way to definitively know is to do a bone marrow biopsy. So we're gonna do that biopsy, and we're gonna know for sure. There's gonna be no more guessing. We did the biopsy, and it was conclusive that I did in fact have multiple myeloma. I am IgG lambda, I believe, and I don't believe I have any. And I'll put on the screen if that's wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what I am. I don't believe I have any, bad mutations or anything that is cause for any like more concern. But because of my age, of course, my doctor immediately, said we're going to seek the Mayo Clinic because you need to have a stem cell transplant. And at that time, what they did was they treated me with my chemo pill. They got my body into a very good partial remission. So from May of 2017 to July of 2017, I did the chemo, and basically my cancer was undetected. So then they sent me to Mayo. I did all kinds of tests, guys, like PET scans, lung scans, heart scans. I mean, they tested everything to make sure my body was even, able to do this. And I ended up, of course, harvesting my own cells. I had an autologous stem cell transplant, meaning they took cells from my body, they clean them up or do whatever they do to make sure that the cancer is gone, and then they put the cells back into your body. And that all happened in September of 2017. Ever since then, from September of 2017, and then they tested me 3 months later in January, and at the end of January, I was told that I was in a good, deep remission. My transplant was successful. All glory to God. I was doing great. And if you're interested again in the transplant process and how I felt and all of that, I'm going to link those other videos. You can go check those out. So from January of 2018 up until May of 2021, I stayed in a deep remission. My proteins were undetectable. There was no myeloma proteins. And then unfortunately in May of 2021, my proteins started rising. Now, right at first, my doctor was not concerned. She said, this can happen, even after this long of time. Basically, the amount of proteins showing up was so minuscule. She said, you're still in a remission, it's nothing. Now, over the next 6 months, every time I would go in, it started to rise a little bit. But like all of my other numbers were good. And there are so many factors to myeloma. You can't just look at this one number or that one number. It's a puzzle that has to come together to really tell the full story. And I started working, I'm an esthetician. So in February of 2022, last year, I decided to start working. And also that month that I started working, I was on my feet a lot, of course. I started having some foot pain on my right foot. Now, I just thought this was my plantar fasciitis, okay? I've suffered from plantar fasciitis for the last few years. No big deal. I've been to the podiatrist, I've had cortisone shots, all that deal, all that jazz. So I just thought it was the plantar fasciitis. And then my husband was rubbing on my feet and he just kind of squeezed around my ankle and I just about came off the couch. Like I hurt so bad. So of course, like immediately having that pain, something deep down inside me said something's wrong. But I always tend to go to the bad place the very first thing. So I'm like, stop thinking like that. You're being paranoid. Stop being a hypochondriac. So within a month or two of working, I go to the podiatrist. They do a complete scan and x-ray of my foot, tell me that, yeah, you probably have, tendinitis from so the plantar fasciitis can cause tendinitis to go up into your ankle. Your ankle looks good. It looks strong. Of course, I shared with the podiatrist that I'm in remission from myeloma, and that is why I'm concerned. They gave me a shot in my foot and sent me on my way, telling me that my ankle looked great, yada, yada. So I continued to work. So last July, we went on a family vacation. I ended up hurting my foot even more, and walking became a struggle. My ankle hurt so bad that I just couldn't even stand it. And by September, I really couldn't walk. I had clients one day, I went into work, and I just could not even walk. They sent me home and said, girl, go see about yourself. So at that point, my aunt is a PA at Mayo, and she actually works in the orthopedic department. She put me in touch with her people, and basically I got a very quick, it was like within the 3 weeks, I got into the Mayo. The first thing they did, obviously, was an x-ray of my ankle. And wouldn't you know it, I had a tumor in my ankle. And when I tell you I saw that we were in the cafeteria waiting to go to the next meeting, and on my lab, my charts, it pops up that you have a test result. And it said I had a big tumor, I forget what they called it, but it was some kind of big tumor. And I was like, what? And my aunt comes into the cafeteria where we were and was like, we gotta go. Like I had a fast pass to go and get all these other tests done. So you guys, in September of last year, I was diagnosed with I believe it was September. I think it was early September, late August, early September. I was diagnosed with a plasmacytoma that had developed in my ankle. Basically broke my ankle. I was walking around with a broke ankle for who knows how long, and had surgery. They removed, and I'll put some pictures in of how it looked before and then also how it looked after my surgery. They basically removed the tumor. They filled the tumor with a cement-like substance that acts as your bone, and then they put a plate over my ankle with a screw going up my leg with bolts all down my leg to hold and keep everything going and secure while I'm recovering. And that recovery was difficult. I was off my feet for months. Before my surgery, I had to stay off my feet. Definitely after my surgery, it was a very, very long recovery, and it was very hard. So after that all happened, and I go do blood work again about 2 months after my surgery, all of my myeloma proteins were undetectable again. And they have started fluctuating a bit, but I'm still in remission. And my doctor told me it would do that for a while. So it'll show just like a tiny bit of protein and then go back. So as of this point right now, I'm not concerned. Obviously, if it rises or does anything weird, we're gonna watch it. But I am still currently in remission from being diagnosed in May of 2017. So I'm very, very thankful to God. He has truly held me along the way. This past year's been the hardest year of my life, even harder than going through cancer, because I lost my little niece back in December. She had her own health issues with her heart, and so it's been very difficult. And here I am celebrating my strength and thanking God in one breath for sustaining me, keeping me strong, putting me back into remission, taking this cancer, this plasmacytoma out of my body, and then allowing me to be healthy. In that same breath, I'm grieving my niece. And that has been the biggest challenge of living in thankfulness, but also living in really bad grief. And grief is just this thing that is, over time, you have good days and you have bad days. And I think anybody that's been through something truly understands that. But back to how I feel now, I still have labs once a month. I have to have a pregnancy test once a month or I don't get my chemo. In the very beginning, I took 20 milligrams until I got into a remission. Then after my transplant, I went down to 10 milligrams of Revlimid. And now after my plasmacytoma, they have bumped me back up to 15 milligrams, but now instead of being on it continuously, I get a week off. So I'm on it for 21 days and I get 7 days off. And so far, so good. I am so thankful. You guys, I have only been on one medication in the last 5 years. That is Revlimid, or the generic form of it, the lenalidomide, I believe it is. But I'm back on the actual Revlimid. And even since I was diagnosed, I am told there are so many drugs available for multiple myeloma, so many drugs, so many new therapies. I also have the availability to have 2 more stem cell transplants if I need, because that's how many cells that I harvested. And just the fact that, I'm still here and I have minimal side effects. Listen, don't get me wrong. My life is not perfect. I am tired. I do struggle with, just that feeling sometimes when I get back on my chemo of being tired, lethargic. I feel lazy, but then I have to remind myself, you're not lazy, you're on chemo. Give yourself a little bit of grace. But truly, in the grand scheme of things, even through my tumor and everything I've been through the last year, I am so blessed by the grace of God for what he truly has brought me through, his hand in my life. And so until the day that I do not have any more breath in my lungs, I will praise him for what he has brought me through. Even through the stress and the grief and the downs, the valleys, I will praise him through it all. And I'm grateful that I am still alive, because I want to be a beacon of hope. If you are recently diagnosed and you are scared, I understand. I have been there. And when I was diagnosed, there was not nearly the amount of information or people talking about this disease. So I want you to know that there is hope. There are more therapies and meds than ever. Never give up. Be in a positive mindset, even on your hardest days. I know it's difficult. And the one thing that has got me through this is my love and my faith in Jesus Christ. Truly, that is what has brought me through. And whether you're a believer or not, I want to convey to you how having a relationship with Jesus Christ has truly been the one thing that has gotten me through everything that I've been through. And I don't know how people get through life without faith. I truly don't. So I just want to say that I am so thankful to God. And if you're coming across this video and you are either going through tests, or you were recently diagnosed, or you're going through a hard time, you're not seeing my video by mistake. God works everything for his glory. So I just pray that right now that I would be a beacon of hope and just someone that gives you a little bit of light in the dark time that you're going through. So there's my update. I'm still on chemo. I'm still walking with a tiny bit of a limp, but I am getting better. And the one thing I will tell you that I have been doing for the last couple of months, I have finally I have been struggling with like my stomach since my transplant with IBS, and it has gotten progressively worse. And I have discovered that gluten and sugar just makes my stomach crazy. So since the beginning of May, I completely have gotten off sugar and gluten. I've been doing keto, and I cannot tell you guys how good my stomach is compared to what it was. I feel so much better, and it has just been a complete change. So I have lost a little bit of weight. I'm grateful for that. But more than anything, changing my diet has truly changed how I feel. I believe it's helping the inflammation on my foot. I think I'm starting to walk a little bit better. And I just can't wait to see how I feel in the next couple of months. And I'll keep you posted with that. But anyways, so that is basically the update. You guys, you can survive and you can thrive with myeloma. Even if you don't achieve remission, you can live a normal life with this disease, you guys. I believe it. Just have faith, stay positive. You can go on to Facebook and find the multiple myeloma for ages 50 and younger. And there's just also the general multiple myeloma group. So if you need some support, hospitals will also usually have support groups they can kind of turn you to. If you have any questions, just let me know. And sometimes, guys, I don't see my comments, so I may comment months later. I try to keep up with that, and I will try to keep up with any of the comments that I get. So if you're watching this, thank you. If you've made it this far, thank you. I do pray for anyone watching me right now that is scared and struggling with this disease or any other disease. Turn to the Lord, turn to Jesus, and I promise you there is hope. There is hope beyond anything your mind and heart could ever comprehend in Jesus Christ. So, thank you. I'll see you all in my next video.